And I, in my life, inadvertently have probably squashed some people's dreams before. I've probably been a dream killer. And let me tell you something, I don't know how many days I have on this planet, but I refuse to kill any more people's dreams. And so thank the good Lord that you have a dream builder that you're married to. And I would say to anybody in here who's watching later, make sure that you're a dream builder. When somebody comes to you with an idea, with a business, with something that they have worked up the courage to talk about, be a dream builder and don't be a dream killer.
What if you felt like you had everything in life? You had all the money, you're chasing fame, you're a sports broadcaster, but then to realize something is missing and all you wanted to do was fill others with joy. So you became a best-selling author, massive motivational speaker. Well, this next guest that I'm going to interview right here, Rachel Baribeau, is that. She is a joy spreader. You could almost hear the joy coming out of the camera. Come on, check it out.
Sharp French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time, I confirmed it. A whole society determined
Please welcome Rachel Baribeau.
Hey!
Appreciate you. What's up, guys? We're back at Lynch's in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Before we get started with this interview, I want to take the time to make a special announcement. You know, the Determined Society just isn't a show, it's a movement. And with a movement, you need powerful people along with you to help spread joy, determination, and stories of resilience and overcoming. So I'd like to announce our very first show affiliate partner, Rachel Joy Baribeau. Welcome to the club. This is the Determined Society. So
oh my gosh.
Thank you for coming along. It's going to be amazing.
I'm thrilled. This is an answered prayer. And I tell you what, there's no coincidences.
No, there's really not.
None.
I don't even know how we got connected, but it's just so funny how we connected on social and then it's turned into like, wait a second, are we related? Are we?
Yeah.
I mean, you're my long lost sister, and you know it just happened organically. You know, for the audience listening, we connected on a phone call after multiple voice notes switched over and passed through, and busy schedules and text messages and calls missed. We finally get on the phone just to connect on, hey, what's going on? Like, how are you? What are you doing? Like, just want to talk to you because you're a cool person. And it turned into me talking to her about what I was building here with Pat and our other partners that we will not mention now, but very, very soon. And all of a sudden she says, I've been looking to get a part of a network. And I'm like, well, girl, here we go. Determined Society. So again, welcome to the show. Like welcome to the team. Welcome to the family. I'm super excited to not just have this conversation today, but just help change lives and impact people with you.
So a couple of things. First of all, I want everybody to I'm a big takeaways person. When I speak, when I teach, I'm a takeaways person. The first takeaway is we genuinely just connected without an agenda. All we were doing was connecting. We liked each other's material. We liked each other. You know, you felt like we said, my long lost brother. And then all of a sudden, boom, you didn't know, I didn't know. You're like, hey, I'm starting a podcast network. And so for anybody who's here that's watching this later, y'all take time to connect with people at the bar, at the restaurant, on the corner, when you go to the grocery store. I cannot tell you the most amazing things that have happened to me in my life because I took the time to meet another human being without an agenda. And it was not transactional. It was relational. So that was the first thing. And the second thing that was so crazy to me is you said, oh, the Determined Society is not just a podcast network. It's a movement. And I said, oh, boo, I know a thing or two about movements. I created one 8 years ago called I'm Changing the Narrative. And when on my worst days, my people, my mentors remind me that I created something from absolutely nothing that has now served over 80 colleges, law enforcement, border patrol, Big 10, Big 12, Jaguars, more NFL teams to come. And I created it out of nothing.
You know, it's funny because like that, you're the person I want along.
Yeah.
Right. Because I've talked about it multiple times. I started the Determined Society as a Facebook page and then an accidental podcast that was started in a VW Atlas.
Wow.
I was recording shows on my iPhone through an app in a vehicle. And here we are, you know, two and a half, 3 years later, amazing production, amazing venue, partners. It you know, it's one of those things where you don't know what's going on down the pipeline. All we have to focus on is what we have right here today, this moment. This is the thing. And if we can continue to do that and spread that raw determination, the joy, and changing that narrative in society, how much better will this world be?
Amazing. And the other thing I just want to say, y'all, for people that will be here that are watching this later, Sean and I were talking. I was a sportscaster, a national sportscaster for 17 years. I became the first female host on SiriusXM on their collegiate channels. I voted for the Heisman. I hosted the first college football playoff 5 years. What y'all don't maybe know, and I'm going to let you in on, is his role interviewing people all day. It's not as easy as it looks, y'all. I have done this for all these years, and you're like, so anyway, mad props to you. I was
Thank
just
you.
bringing that up.
And you know, it's one of those things where I don't want to say the word draining isn't the right word. It's you take on the energy of every guest, and it's all fun and it's all great, and then you know, headaches can happen. You get really tired, but then when it's game time again, it's like, oh, this is exciting. This is what I get to do. And I think just a lot of times, man, when we look at all the things that are on our schedule, and this is for, you know, the audience here, and then the people are going to be watching it later, is you're going to have things that stack up against you. It's going to be your schedule. It's going to be adversity. But guess what? We get to go through it. That perspective from getting to, or, oh my God, I have to do this. How has that helped you in your life?
Perspective is everything. You know, I want to be really real with people. I teach on this idea of radical vulnerability. I'm not going to get up here and tell you my life has been easy, that it's been charmed, but I've, you know, climbed Kilimanjaro and you know, gone to the top in sports and done all these firsts. And there were a million points in between, to be honest with you, where I felt like quitting. And I just want to be real with people, because people often see this fake social media idea of your life. And they think that, oh, it's so charmed. And it's why, because I work with kids and law enforcement, all ages. I'm so determined. There we go. I'm so determined to give a real, actual look at my life, like the happy, the sad, the good, the bad, because I don't want people out here falling in love with a picture perfect idea of my life. And it hasn't been. And I actually learned the most about myself when I was face down in the mud.
That's how this all started. Right? It's like, in those moments in between to get to here, I remember telling my wife, it's like, I feel like I'm alone. I have no help. When is someone going to believe in me? When is someone going to realize what I have to offer? And then comes Pat. And then the team. And then, you know, it's like, it's one thing to have your family believe in you. That is one thing that I'll always seek first. But when you have a community of people that start to believe in you and see this vision, all I wanted was a studio. I didn't know we were going to end up here. Right. But that for me was so important. But there was a lot of down moments. A lot of tears. A lot of arguments. A lot of internal strife. That I'm like, man, there was a point in 2020. I think I told you this. In 2023, like last year, my last show I recorded was with one of my best friends, Matthew Hedden, who's here, who drove from South Carolina to be here to see this. Like, that's support. That was my last show. I took like a 3 or 4 month break. I'm like, I'm done. because I've lost perspective. I'm chasing social clout. No one's paying attention.
Yeah.
And then I accidentally got back into it.
You say accidentally, right?
Right. It was just Taryn Marie Steischel came across and, hey, I want to do a live with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'll just have you on my show. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. But I was doing it because I wanted to help her promote her book. And what I found quickly after that, I started going like this.
Yeah.
And I started doing it for the right reasons more consistently. And I'm like, okay, this is it. But like that moment right there.
Okay.
Like, I just want to quit. I just want to quit.
We all have them. Right. We all have them. And I have to say this too, for everybody who again is here and then will watch this later. One, this is the first thing. Your wife is beautiful.
Thank you.
And like stunning. And the other thing is how important is it to have a supportive people around you? Now, here's what I want to teach you. There are two kinds of people in the world: dream killers and dream builders. And I, in my life, inadvertently have probably squashed some people's dreams before.
Yeah.
I've probably been a dream killer. And let me tell you something. I don't know how many days I have on this planet, but I refuse to kill any more people's dreams. Yeah. And so thank the good Lord that you have a dream builder that you're married to. And I would say to anybody in here who's watching later, make sure that you're a dream builder. When somebody comes to you with an idea, with a business, with something that they have worked up the courage to talk about, be a dream builder and don't be a dream killer.
I cannot tell you how many. Yes, can I? Yes.
I'm wooing myself.
I mean,
that's how jacked I am.
It's like we're here. It's like when we built the deck out of what this was going to be and taking it to people, it was, sorry, man, don't have time to go on this journey with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. And those can serve as the dream killers. But for me, what I decided to focus on was the people that believed in me. And dude, and this is the one thing that I think is the overall arcing theme of this show, and even in your brand as well, based on what you're saying, is, those moments, those are the ones that matter.
Yes.
Because those are the ones that shape you. And it's just so important when you're feeling down like that. Just what's the next step? Yeah. So talk to us about a little bit about how when you have those moments, how do you just take one more small step? Because it doesn't have to be big. It can just be that one.
Yeah. It's such a good question, y'all. For me, it's perspective. It's slowing my mind down and going, did I wake up today? Can I walk? Can I talk? Am I still got breath in my lungs? Is my heart still beating? Do I have people that believe in me? And then oftentimes, y'all, I talk to myself. I talk back to myself and I say, Rachel, straighten up, you know? Yeah. Do you know you need to go put yourself in timeout? I often do that with 4 kids. I laugh and tell people I had a dog and then I married a man with 4 kids. So there are times where I go put myself in timeout and to get myself right. But for me, it's slowing my mind down and going, and here's another big one. Did I have a bad day or did I have a bad 15 minutes that ruined my entire day?
That like, it's so funny because when I sit there, and more recently I'm starting to understand this, but I'll sit there and I'm like, man, what a shitty day. Yeah. Like, wait a second. Wait a minute. Was it really a bad day? Or did I have a bad 10 to 15 minutes that I peanut buttered all over the day? And the one thing, you mentioned my wife is stunning. She's beautiful. She is. But the one thing that she's done for me, among many things, is be like, hey, it doesn't need to be 0 to 60. And it was hard for me to understand, but now it's like I see it. It's like I can be frustrated, but I need to respond instead of react. Yeah. How has your faith in God helped you? I mean, trust me, I'm thinking about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, only one dude that can get you to that. That's Jesus, because I'm not trying. But how has your faith, helped you in everything you're doing? Best-selling author. I mean, amazing keynote speaker. You're doing so many great things. Yeah. Like, talk to us about that.
My faith is who I am. I mean, it's intertwined in who I am. At the end of the day, if you see something good in me, I hope that you see Jesus in me. And I said in the beginning of my book, I said, if you don't believe in God, if you're far from God, if you're confused, if you believe something else, at the very least, by the end of this book, I hope you think that Jesus was a really rad dude.
That's cool.
Because, I hate to call Jesus a dude, but he, he was and he is. And at the end of the day, you can't separate Rachel from my faith.
Yeah.
I am my faith, and that's it. And I'm only here as a former addict, as a former abuse victim, as somebody who's lost everything, lost both my parents. I'm only here because of Jesus Christ, and I will never be ashamed of him.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. You know, and that's part of changing the narrative.
Yeah.
So let's talk to me about changing the narrative for those that are going to be listening that don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a big part of while we're partnering. I mean, like,
Yeah.
talk to us about that.
Yeah. So if I were to give you the elevator pitch, if I was riding in the elevator with you, I'd tell you that 8 years ago, there was a problem in college athletics. It was a very dark summer. We were on the heels of Penn State. We were in the thick of Baylor. There were domestic violence, sexual violence, problems going on all over the country. And I was on Sirius, and I remember y'all, because being a woman on Sirius, when you're a woman in a man's world, you prep twice as much, right? To be respected half as much, right? So I was prepping, and I would prep that whole summer, and all it was negative, 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 negative news. And I said, oh my God, what happened to this sport, college football, that I've given my life to? And I'm like, it's all negative. And that's when God said, I made you a do something, girl. You can do something about this. So I wrote a curriculum. Y'all, do not curse the days of small beginnings. It was a 2-page Google Doc, but it was, what makes your heart beat faster? What were you born for? If you think you were just born to play sports, what a shame that is.
Yeah.
And then my own experience with domestic violence. And I thought that I would go and take it to high schools. But my friend, Dr. Kevin Elko, who I'm going to intro you to, who was Nick Saban's mental man for 23 years, he said, oh, by the way, I called Jimbo Fisher at FSU, and they want you on August 26th, 2016. And that kicked off I'm Changing the Narrative. So it started as purpose, passion, platform, my own experience of domestic violence. And then over an 8-year period, like I said, we've been to 80 colleges. And now we talk about mental health, what sets your soul on fire, joy. We talk about relationships, being a king, being a queen. And then I said, you know what? If I'm talking to men, I need to talk to women. So I talk to queens. Then I said, okay, well, other people need this. K through 5, high school, law enforcement, border patrol, NFL. And so the sky's the limit. I haven't quit. And I'm just out here changing lives with my story.
I love it. And it's funny because, like, the one thing, I've told you this on the phone, but I want to share with the audience. One of the biggest things that drew me to your content initially was the fact that you're giving back at the very, very base level. Like, I mean, going to prisons and speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to me, that's like, okay, I follow this woman.
Yeah.
I see her content. I've seen the bio. Cool.
Yeah.
Neat. Now I see her heart.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, yeah, she's got to be in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, so how's that experience been, and what kind of feedback have you gotten?
Ooh, that's the craziest thing. That's the one thing I didn't mention. I go inside of men's maximum security prisons. And if you had asked me a year ago if I'd have thought that I would be in prison ministry, if going into prisons, I'd tell you were insane. But I'm going to my third one Monday. And I go and I bring joy inside of prisons. I let prisoners know that their story is not over. I let them know that they can be forgiven. I let them know that they don't have to live in a prison of their own mind, that there is more. And this is the craziest thing. What I love about Sean, y'all, is that he did say that to me. He said, I saw all that, but when I knew I was really sold on you was when I saw you went into prisons. And I'm like, first of all, that's soul to soul. We have the same kind of soul. But I've told people I have found more joy in prisons than I have working with some of the greatest brands in the country. Because for me, I know I'm changing a life. I know I'm changing a life at these big brands, but here's the thing. I lived half my life chasing fame, money, clout. I wanted the people to move the red rope and say, Rachel, Baribeau. And I had it and I got it and I realized it was empty.
Yeah.
And I also lived half my life, Sean, with had some broken parts of my soul. And so I was looking for the entire world to love me, and I didn't love myself. So anytime anybody ever gave me a compliment, it just flowed through me because I couldn't contain it. And so now I don't live for clout. I don't live for numbers. I don't, just like you got the perspective. I don't live for any of that. And for me, I find as much or greater joy going into a prison than I do working with the biggest NFL team or the biggest corporation or the biggest school. Yeah.
That's amazing, and I can see it, right?
Yeah.
And I can see it. talk to us about your podcast, because that's hey, you're in the Determined Society. That's what we're gonna be on, and so talk to us about that.
So it's called Joy Starters, and a Joy Starter. So I wrote this book last year. It became a bestseller last year, and at the end of each chapter is something called a joy start. And to me, the definition of a joy starter is somebody who notices joy, spreads joy, and is joy. Okay. And so I said, okay, it's gonna be the Joy Starters podcast. And y'all, it's not scripted. It's like behind the scenes. It's me leaving a prison with my like real emotions. It's a lesson I learned today. It's something, somebody turned me down. It's something that happened. Like, it is so totally behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. It's so real. If you've gotten a little bit of an idea who I am, just being up here, like, it's that on steroids. and so I know, right?
It's so funny because you're talking about the Joy Starter podcast and how it's raw, and it's like, it's out of you're in the emotion, you're out of the prison. That's how the Determined Society started. I know. It just wasn't a prison. It was out of the gym. It was, coming out of something, and I would get in my vehicle and vent, and then it'd be like, the worst part was like, oh, I got to do these show notes now, but like, that's how it starts. That's how it starts. Like, you have that, like, when I did it, it was like, okay, this fired me up today. This happened at the gym. I got to talk about it. Yada, yada, yada. And then it's turned into so much more. So like, I can confidently say, put your damn seatbelt on. Woo! Put your seatbelt on, because the best brands, the best stories start like that. When you're doing it just out of the sheer passion and love and just rawness, right? Like, that's what matters.
And I think the word for me that I want to like leave with people is authenticity. I spent half my life, I'm Latina, I'm Native American, and I remember I had an agent once, and he told me, he said, you should like be less loud and wear more beige.
Don't try to.
And I was like, okay, for a minute. And then I went, no,
I'm good.
And so I think why you're so successful, and why Joy Starters and why the movement has been successful, is I am who I am. Mm-hmm. It's people love authenticity. I don't think people love so much today scripted things and and they love people to be real. Take off the mask, be real. That's who you are. That's why I was attracted to your content, and that's exactly who I am.
Well, she said it. Thank you so much for being on and sharing, some of your story with the world. And there's going to be much, much more. You heard about it, guys. Lead with authenticity. Changing the narrative, and provide joy wherever you go. Rachel Baribeau, love you. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you, brother.
Thank you. What I've always found is all the flavors, you can taste artificial flavoring in them. With raw, it's exactly that. I don't taste that. It's a clean protein source. Tastes great, and I'm not putting a lot of things in my body that aren't good for you. The biggest thing that I will say that I love about raw nutrition and Bum Energy is they're all natural ingredients and they're third-party tested. So what that means is an actual lab test is to make sure what's in the product is actually what is stated on the label. And then you'll see on the website of Raw Nutrition that it is signed off on. So there's no banned substances in these products. Athletes can use them safely and not get tested and popped for a failed drug test for performance enhancing, ingredients. It's completely safe, guilt-free, baby.
French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time, I confirmed it. A whole society determined.